Number 12. Glowfish. Many insects, like fireflies, glimmer and flash as they flit through their mating dances, illuminating their ends and at the same time managing to transform a summer evening into a magical night. While the bioluminescence traits that enable these bugs to glow, the reason for their famously titled lightning bug, creates wonder in humans, it's also a common feature found throughout the animal world, especially in marine biology. Bioluminescence is defined as the light that occurs from the reaction of two chemicals living within an organism. Those chemicals are luciferin and either luciferase or photoprotein. While lights and sparkles might just be for show to humans, in the animal kingdom, it's a powerful tool. Depending on the creature utilizing it, it can be used for multiple purposes. As instanced above with the lightning bug, they glow for mating purposes. Some insects glow as a predatory method to lure prey to within reach. Others light their way in the never-ending darkness that is the bottom of the sea.
What was that all about?
Come. Come.
Where are we going?
Yunai werte manama salo. Horite reati mungi minga.
Slung si boero maera.
Ulte tin I wear ni ang gaya. Te viran poyewe. Na nabia.
Glowing animals, also known as bioluminescence, is actually not that uncommon in nature, especially in marine life. There are obviously many species of jellyfish and some octopods that have this ability. Anglerfish famously use a little thing that comes out of their forehead and glows to attract fish to then eat on them. And by the way, you always see these things and you think they're kind of small. No, they can grow up to be 70 pounds. That's the size of my pit bull. Never going in the water again. Phytoplankton on the shores of the Maldives put on an amazing light show. I want to go to there. Waitomo glowworm caves in New Zealand make it look like you've been transported to another planet, which is really true of most of New Zealand. And right here in my backyard you can find fireflies flashing lights to attract mates. See, fireflies find it sexy. Most bioluminescent animals do so by producing different types of enzymes called luciferin and luciferase. Luciferin, might as well just call it Satan juice. which is ironic because once upon a time it was known as Angel's Glow. One of the weirdest and coolest stories that came out of the Civil War was that some of the soldiers at the Battle of Shiloh, after being exposed to the rain and conditions for a couple of days, would find that their wounds were actually glowing blue. And then later at a field hospital, they couldn't help but notice that the people who had the blue glowing wounds were actually surviving at a higher rate than the people who didn't. So of course they saw this as some kind of divine intervention and called it Angel's Glow. So 140 years later, a 17-year-old high school student named Bill Martin became fascinated by this story. So he started to research it and found out that there's actually a bioluminescent type of bacteria called P. luminescens that lives in a type of nematode that could be found in the conditions that one would expect in that Civil War battlefield. And one little trick of P. luminescens is that it actually produces an enzyme that kills other types of bacteria. So this bacteria, this glowing that they saw in the wound, was actually keeping off infections. That's why they survive longer. So if you ever find that one of your wounds is glowing, that means you've been out in the rain for like 2 days. Dude, get inside. The question is, if bioluminescence is so common in nature, could it also happen in humans? Is it really that impossible? Because there are some stories. One incident was recorded over 100 years ago by a British researcher named Hereward Carrington. Sounds like Benedict Cumberbatch's grandfather, but he noticed the story of a little boy who started glowing blue on his deathbed. In fact, the people around him thought that he had caught fire and tried to put it out unsuccessfully, because there was no fire. And in 1869, a letter that was written to the magazine English Mechanic described the story of a woman whose big toe started glowing so brightly that she could see it through her covers. The letter said, quote, "Rubbing increased the phosphorescent glow and it spread to her foot. Fumes were also given off, making the room disagreeable, and both lights and fumes continued when the foot was held in a basin of water, and even washing with soap could not dim the toe. It lasted for 3/4 of an hour before fading away and was witnessed by her husband." Geez, honey, I don't know. Have you tried Neosporin? But one of the most well-known cases of glowing humans was the case of Senora Ana Moreno, who also became known as the Glowing Woman of Parano. She was an asthma patient who, over the course of a few weeks in 1934, began producing a blue glow from her breasts. So many jokes, and they're all inappropriate. I can't tell any of them. I'm about to explode. This was actually witnessed by several doctors who postulated that it might have been something akin to the angel's glow that I was describing before, or it might have come from extra amounts of sulfates in her blood. Now, I know what you're thinking. These are stories that came from a long time ago from people who crapped in outhouses and believed in fairies. This is totally not a thing, and that's fair. But some new research has shown that humans can sort of produce light. Sort of. In 2009, a Japanese study showed that the human body can produce light in extremely small quantities. They made this discovery using super-sensitive cameras to monitor 5 healthy male volunteers for 20 minutes every 3 hours inside a light-tight room for 3 days straight. They found that the participants glowed throughout the day, with the brightest spots being on the forehead, cheeks, and neck, and more brightly in the afternoon and dimmer at night. The light is 1,000 times less intense than anything that we could see with our naked eye, and it's thought to be the byproduct of biochemical reactions involving free radicals. In other words, it has to do with our metabolism, which would explain why it varied throughout the day. It's thought that these excited free radicals can interact with fluorophores, which produces a photon, just a tiny little packet of light. Now, visible light, as we all know, is just a tiny sliver of the vast electromagnetic spectrum, which also includes infrared, which we do produce as a byproduct of heat that comes out of our body. But we're not talking about infrared, we're talking about visible light is coming out of our bodies. Kind of crazy.
That's right, Patrick. When they were first installed over a year ago, they were a normal white color. Now, as you can see here behind me, they've changed to a purple-blue color.
If you're driving into Milwaukee on I-43, your eyes aren't deceiving you. The lights really are different colors, some white, some a purple, even blue hue. While it may look a little mysterious, the Department of Transportation says the moody lighting was not planned.
We had installed a number of new lights over the past number of years, and there was a batch of the lights that were produced and shipped to us, among others, that were flawed.
The DOT says when the LED lights were installed about 16 months ago, they gave off the normal white light, but within a year, their true colors started shining through.
Almost every day there would be 2 or 3 more lights that would suddenly shift over to that off color.
Now, more than 400 lights with a defect in southeast Wisconsin will all have to be replaced. The DOT says once they identify how many lights are defective, Duke Energy, the company that made the lights, will pay for new ones to be installed.
They do put out the same amount of lights, so from safety, it's still lighting up the roadway the way that we want it to. So, here in the urban area, you're still getting a properly lit freeway. What you're not getting is the right color coming out of it.
It's definitely a different look. Caroline, this isn't just happening here.
Right, Duke Energy, that manufacturer, they supply those lights across the state of Wisconsin as well as other states too, so they're all dealing with the same problem that we are. The DOT did not have an exact timeline as to when these lights were going to be replaced, Patrick.
This is the last time you make a fool out of me!
I made you a hero. You did the fool thing all by yourself.
You're so pathetic. No matter what side you're on, you're always the loser.
There's a benefit to losing. You get to learn from your mistakes.
Huh?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me! Minion, if I live, I will kill you.
Enjoy your flight!
Never mind.
So, this is how it ends. Normally, I'd chalk this up to my last glorious failure. But not today. What can I say? Old habits die hard.
Say bye-bye, Roxy.
Olo. Thing about bad guys, they always lose.
Happy birthday to me.
System restored. Have a nice day.
You've been in a terrible accident. I'm Dr. Kafka. I'm here to